All right, everybody, welcome back to the Lions Pit podcast. I am your host, Nick Gomez, and with me today, my treat to have Mr. John Wolf, the one and only. How are you, man?
Man, I'm doing good, bro. You invited a wolf into the Lions Pit, huh?
Into the Lions Pit, yeah, man.
Dang, all
Rumble
right.
in the jungle. Let's run it back.
Let's see what happens here.
Yeah, it's Foreman Ali all over again. They were Rumble in the jungle, right? Foreman and Ali?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, some of my guests are going to be like, or hosts or listeners are going to be like, how do you not know that? But yeah, Rumble in the Jungle. Man, again, I am so excited to have you on. You're very much someone that I consider a mentor, someone within the industry that I've looked up to for a long time. And then eventually getting to work for you a little bit was just a phenomenal experience. And like I said, it's just really a treat to have you on.
Oh, man, thanks. Thanks for having me. This is a long time coming. You know, shoot, you've made your mark in the place that I helped build over the former Onnit Gym, the now Correct Fitness, and just seeing your growth from the first interview. I had the pleasure of interviewing you when you came in to apply, and seeing what you've done since then has been pretty amazing, man.
No, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that, man. It was so surreal to be interviewing with you. And even now, like if you would have told me, so that was 5 years ago, just about, it'd be, because it was after the big snowstorm. And so that'll be this upcoming February. So March of 2026 will be 5 years for me over at now Correct Fitness. But if you had told me 6 years ago that I would have even been working on it, let alone like kind of doing some really interesting and fun things there, I would have been like, there's no way. I was like, that'd be so cool. Because I used to love coming out for the certifications. You were a part of both of them. One of them was the mobility. So that was definitely like you and Shane going at it. And then the first one I did was foundations. And I feel like it was a little more Shane and Sam Pogue. But you obviously were in there as well. So it was one of those things where it was really cool to finally like come into the building and be like, oh shit, like this is my boss. And then we had just like such great conversations back when we had the HQ side.
Yeah, man. I mean, hey, whether it's I'm flattered, right? That's awesome. It's really cool to have people that I respect so much have been part of my journey and also kind of maybe following my career before we even, formed our relationship, right? More formally. Yeah. You coming to the certifications, obviously that says a lot too. You mean you're coming in from New Mexico to just further your education and better yourself. And so it makes it a lot easier to say like, man, this guy's willing to bet on himself. He's all the way out here again. This is a worthwhile investment of time to have a conversation. I think we sat across each other on the benches inside the main gym, right? On the where the platforms used to be.
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, had a really great conversation. I've had a lot of good conversations on those old platforms. Some of them were conflict resolution conversations. Some of them, so this one was a fun one. I enjoyed this.
It was definitely a good one. I really wanted when we got rid of those platforms because then they were back in one of the like trailers in the back forever, and then I guess we cleared it out one day, and I saw them like being pulled out, and I was like, God, I've never hated living in an apartment more because if I had a garage, even though it was just like, it was really just the Onnit logo on the wood and the rest was all kind of like broken off and like shitty. It could not be used for a platform again. But I was like, man, it'd be so cool to like have that as a project to turn into like a coffee table or something.
Yeah, man.
Just that old Onnit logo on the platform. It was one of those things where I was like, fuck, if I had a garage that I could just throw that in right now, I would totally take that home.
Nick is always about that good wood.
Yeah. He's referencing baseball. Big fan of the maple. John Wolf, ladies and gentlemen. Man, but to go on top of that joke, like that is something that has always made you very like easy to be around. And it humanizes you instead of like being like, oh shit, this is like my boss kind of thing. Like you have such a good sense of humor, but like you can also take it and in more ways than one. But but like you were never a guy to where, and I kind of feel the same way about Alex Earl. Like when Alex Earl walks in the room, like I could make like a joke that maybe some people be like, that's your boss. And nobody cares.
No.
Yeah, and that was part of the magic and like the beauty of Onnit anyway, was like we were just real humans just doing everything we can to like really experience this human life.
Yeah, and to be of service, right?
And to be of service, yeah.
I know a lot of people I think this is really one of the things you hit the nail on the head. Is everyone who walks in on it kind of is of a similar cloth. Otherwise, you don't stay really, even as members, right? Like it's hard for some people to feel so comfortable around a whole bunch of people feeling so comfortable.
Yeah. Right. And especially in a place like, say you come from like a Equinox or something of that, you're like, what is this? It's so like, to the unknowing eye, it looks, like everything's in disarray, but it's like, no, this is just a well-oiled, like living, functioning building.
Yeah. And if you stay long enough to observe, if you get distracted by the banter or whatever, you don't see the fact that, man, people are there, they're checking in, they're putting in work.
Yeah.
And then they're off doing the next thing. And oftentimes with other people from the gym, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that's really been great, is just seeing, well, how focused people, I mean, when we first opened the gym, let's just be completely honest, right? Juan used to train all the bottle service girls in Austin. So maybe a good percentage of our membership to start were really beautiful women. But the fact of the matter was they were already training with Juan. And if you know Juan, ain't nobody taking an easy workout.
They're getting it. Yeah, they were moving.
They still do, man. The women's groups over there are phenomenal. I love seeing everybody go hard and just look and feel so good in the process, right? I mean, in the sense that people are moving towards their goals. They celebrate them together, like some of the dinners that they put together, the women's group dinners.
Yeah, it's crazy,
it's
man,
pretty
to see
wild.
that community. Yeah, because I mean, it's birthdays, it's baby showers, it's promotions. Like these women are like such a tight knit group, and again, like Juan's done such a good job facilitating that. Like, it's awesome to watch.
I mean, even like say IC moved to Spain, everybody was involved in the send off, right?
Yeah.
Or you just got back from Europe, and Juan just took a pretty long trip in Europe.
He was out there for a minute.
Who went out there to hang with them? Some of the members at the gym, man. I mean, it's done right. I think everybody's comfortable with each other. The people that are the most seasoned, figureheads of the space also are just there doing hard work.
Yeah.
No ego, just showing up and putting in the hours and months and years, right? And still doing it. And so I think, but the thing about it was always, and I'm really, I always wondered, like, man, was it hard to work for me? And at times, I'm sure it was. At times, it's not like I'm the easiest person to please. You said I can take it in more ways than one, then you're going to have to do a good job. Take direction. I don't know. But no, I hope it was always a balancing act of like, hey, expectation of growth, but like true investment in each individual and support. And everybody needed a little something different. So, you came in, made some noise right away, with your sports performance background in both, more conventional sports like baseball and obviously MMA as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's really cool because it was a perfect storm when I first came in. Because I was I have always been such a big fan of Onnit, and not only the coaches and like the gym side of it, but man, they had the coolest apparel. Like they had to deal with Virus for a while. They had to deal with Marvel or Disney for a while. So like everything was so cool. They had the softest shirts. Like I loved Onnit. And then so when I first came out after COVID, I gave all y'all my resume, and you guys were like, man, like we would love to have you here as a coach, but we have 100 members right now. We just reopened from COVID. But we can start you off at the front of the house. I'm like, hell yeah. Like, get my foot in the door. Like, yes, like I will start there. And also, like, the front of the house is a great place to be. It's fun. You meet the most interesting people. Like, that's where I met Freeze. I met Brad Womack. Like, all these, like, awesome people just from being up at the front of the house. I hang out at the front of the house way more than Danica would like me to. And
me too. Yeah. When I used to work there, me too.
Yeah, it's just a great place to be, man. It's so, like, warm and, like, comforting. And then the perfect storm part of it was probably like 2 weeks after I was like volunteering to shadow Juan and shadow Rain and like some of the like bigger names in the gym. And the great part was that so much of it I was already familiar with, not only from the certifications, but through our connection with Cowboy Cerrone over at Performance Ranch. a lot of us coaches were like certified in that. So like a big part of our warm up at Performance Ranch was almost identical to the warm up at Onnit. And so that was like easy. And then when it came to the actual lifting, I was like, all right, easy. I know that stuff too. Obviously and I was pretty well versed in some of the unconventional stuff because of the certifications. But there was still more to learn with the unconventional side for me. But again, that part was easy. But so I was just kind of like waiting for the first couple of weeks and like I said, shadowing coaches and working in front of house and loving it. It was such a great experience. And then like 6 coaches all went to the same party and got COVID.
Oh, I do remember this.
Yes, and you might have been one of them.
No, I was good
okay, because
yeah.
I remember like I'll leave names out of just I don't know fucking HIPAA violations or whatever. But like several of the coaches had to they tested positive for COVID, and at that time that was like 2 weeks off. Like not off work, but 2 weeks you're out.
Yeah,
and so I remember you specifically being like, hey, can you cover these classes? And I was like, thrown to the wolves essentially. And I loved it. I was like, fuck yeah, let's go. I think in that 2 weeks, I coached over 20 classes.
Yeah, you stepped up big.
Yeah, I was going hard and I was just so excited to do it.
Well, and I think you hit the nail on the head. I remember when we were talking about putting you at front of house, I was like, no, this is actually, it might not be what you applied for, but this is the best place for a new coach coming into this environment to like build trust and relationships so that when you do coach, nobody's looking at you sideways like, who's this new coach? I don't know who this is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you build some relationships up
there. Yeah, you're up at the front of house shooting the shit and you're like, oh, Nick's teaching class? Oh, shit, let's do this,
Yeah,
and
for sure. I think that's a great point, especially at that time because, like I said, we had 100, 150 members. So like, I'd already known everybody by then.
I mean, what is it now? Damn near 1,000?
Damn near 1,000, dude.
That's crazy.
Wild. Yeah, I had a client at 7 a.m. this morning, and he's like, man, when I first got here, he was back in sports performance. He's like, when I first got here, like for the first 5 minutes, I was the only person back here. It was great. And I was like, man, brother, let me tell you about a time. Yeah. Like not only were like everyone in that building training wise was either there for private training or classes because there was no open gym, but sports performance was for private training only or clients that pay for private training, they could go back there as well. So it was always like it felt like just such a private, like ghost town back in sports performance. So I was telling about that. I was like, dude, I used to come back here and be like me and my client, the only one back here for hours. But don't get me wrong, it is definitely like a vibe there with the amount of people we have. Like I said, especially when we throw events, it feels like the walls have a pulse. Like the building is sweating. Like it is a fantastic time.
I mean, I went for the, the 15 year?
15.
The 15 year.
Yeah.
It was great. I was overstimulated. I walked in there. I was like, oh, it's just kind of coming home.
Yeah.
But I had my kid with me and my girl with me. We walked in. I'm like, this is too much for me to process.
There's a
all
DJ,
at once.
There's drones flying in the gym because we have like a 40, 50 foot ceiling. Like it was, yeah, dude. Those are experiences.
Hey, well, I have to just tell you, all right, we did the grand opening party pretty legit before we opened the gym back in 2010. It was like a full-on experience, right? People were doing like acrobatics, trapeze type of stuff we used to have the high pull-up bar. Do you remember?
Yeah.
And people were doing handstands and flips off of it. And we bought some crash mats because we had these people who like to do all kinds of, calisthenics and handstands and
that kind of stuff. Yeah.
They had people doing performative, partner yoga. There may have been alcohol, which didn't hurt.
Right. Yeah. It might have the next morning.
pretty awesome lighting. I mean, Aubrey was like, we're going to launch this thing big. And it was a pretty epic event. But
I've seen if Juan has pictures of that. I'm sure there's pictures somewhere.
Oh yeah, there's definitely some pictures.
Yeah.
It was done right. But at the same time, it wasn't anything like what I walked into that day in terms of the sheer number of people, the amount of energy. But it was almost like it wasn't like you had to dress up black tie or anything. But people were dressed up, and it was a nice event. It was a really cool thing.
That's sick, yeah.
But everything just changes, but it still stays the same. It's still a vibe.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a different vibe.
Yeah, and I think Aubrey's done a good job of that. Keeping like a lot of it. It is still a vibe for sure. It is a very different vibe. It feels a little more modern. On it, and again, this like because of all the primal stuff and the gorilla head, like it just always felt like such a a primal thing. You know what I mean? Like you felt like you were in like the jungles. And for me, like it was the hard part of the name change for me was not necessarily like Onnit the brand, but like what it meant to me getting into like my career of training fighters. And because that was how I first heard of it. I remember training Claudia Gadelia, and I remember seeing, I think she had an Onnit shirt, and I was like, oh, that's a cool logo. It was one that had like the two ends. This is, I don't know if you see this little black one right here.
Yeah.
But I had that on, and I was like, oh, that's kind of a cool looking logo. That's an old ass sticker, by the way. And then I started seeing a little more and more, and I remember asking Claudia, and she's like, oh yeah, they sent out boxes to like all the fighters. And this was 2016, 2017. And so then I kind of like started looking into it, and then I saw Primal Soldier, and I saw Want It. And honestly, I didn't even know that Rogan was affiliated with it forever. But I just remember like seeing those guys and then seeing you, and then I'm like, what is going on over here? And it just was so intriguing. And again, the fact that like the time I started training fighters, which was such a monumental pivot in my life, was right around the same time I found out what Onnit was, and like kind of how they were symbiotic as well. That was like the hard part for me with the name change. I'm like, damn, like RIP Onnit. Like I wanted to go back and just kind of like raid HQ for like magnets and stickers and like whatever I could find. But yeah, man, that was the hard part for me.
This is the end of an era, man. You know, a lot of, when you're looking from the outside in, you don't see everything that's really going on. So, for me, heading up fitness, there were some really definitive parts of the experience from 2014 all the way to 2024. 2020. When did I leave? 2022, right? So maybe 2023, somewhere in there. Beginning of 2023. That sounds right.
Okay.
And so, that last 18 months of my tenure there, we were already owned by Unilever, right?
Yeah.
Before then, there was a big part of time where we're just preparing for the sale, right?
Yeah.
And the reality was like the stuff that you had mentioned in terms of fitness, a lot of that was all seeded very early in the process, and we kind of just rode that out. But, when you're shifting your focus as a brand, a lot of what we were able to continue doing and being able to like deliver on the fitness side was just more. It was more for the front end engagement component of the brand, right? It was for looks and feels and likes and shares, but it wasn't quite what we had envisioned early on in the process, and except for the gym, right? So the education system post-COVID didn't really exist outside of a digital offering, right? But that was a huge part of what we did.
Yeah, man, those certs were so fun.
Yeah. But what did we do instead? We did grow a 25,000 person community online, all built around lifestyle transformation rather than like weight loss, right? Yeah. So like how are you different than when you started this challenge? How are people seeing you different in your social circles, your family? How are they responding? We would see entire families, multi-generation families, like say like Jason Oberk started training. Then it was his mom started training, and then their nephews and kids and people's 10-year-old kids would get down on some of the workouts. I was like, maybe even call me out. Like, how come Coach Wolf is always telling people what to do? He ain't doing a workout. I was like, what? This 10-year-old just called me out? Like, so we used to do these lives, right, on Fridays for the whole community. And I was like, well, hey, this live, I'm going to run a workout with you, and I'm going to do one of the workouts you guys say. What do you want? Body weight, kettlebell? Okay, which one? Obviously, they chose the EMOM. They want to see me sweat. So then I was like, okay, cool. So we'll just work this up. 5 rounds at level 1, 5 rounds at level 2 is a 20-minute EMOM. 5 rounds at level 3. And I was like, yo, at the end, you don't even know, because I only put level 3 out on the programs, but there's more levels. There's levels to this shit. So I was like, I'm gonna do level 4. No, I was like, just because I couldn't let the 10-year-old call me out and not put on a show.
Throw
man.
down,
but it's been amazing. Just most recently, I'd have to say is, just talking about this Onnit transition during my tenure, after my tenure, I just got notified, and it made me really sad that the the Onnit tribe, the Facebook group that I just told you is 25,000 people strong. They just decided to nuke it, man. So it just goes to show like they moved away from fitness, right?
Yeah.
This was a big thing. That was really my only role there, strategic partnerships, fitness as a platform for building relationships, right? And then the education, right? Already had died. They stopped making the equipment, stopped selling the digital fitness products, and now they killed the community. So just want to let you know, if you have a community, a place you go to like Correct Fitness, a freaking awesome community in real life, IRL. That's what the kids say these days.
I think so,
saying? Something like that, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to age myself here, but obviously all you cool kids, I don't want to act sus or anything. But I'm definitely not 6'7". I'm more like 5'8".
5'8".
So anyway, I'm definitely showing my age.
Yeah.
If you have a community, whether online or offline or both, just cherish it, because you never know. You build something really big, and the key was, when I left, it was like, hey, people can feel a lot of different ways about a lot of different changes. There's only two things that people hate: things that change and things that stay the same.
That's well put. Yeah, I like that.
When I left California to move to Onnit, that was the chief of police. I was like, man, I'm going through it right now. It's really hard to leave my community, and that community dissolved eventually too, right?
Damn.
And so it took other younger coaches took the lead, and the community split, and people would go follow who they wanted to. But these things just change, man, and it's important to understand is like the space, the container, the name of the group or the name of the brand. It doesn't matter, man. It's the relationships you build in that space, and whether you choose to continue investing in those relationships, sharing experiences. Sometimes, so maybe you might find somebody you go to Rome with and do a high rocks or something. I don't know, like you and Anthony, or some people in the gym have got married, Christian and Natalie, and they have their 2 kids. I'm like, man, I remember Christian followed me from California to come out here, and just to see,
that's crazy.
It's easy to feel the pain of loss and things changing, but it's also it's really important to just reflect, and attitude of gratitude, man, is so much that I was able to experience during that time. I just can't imagine that I would have in any other
building,
any other circumstance.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, that's very well put, because I've been in several different gyms, and obviously traveling, I've been in a lot more than that, but I've never seen anything like the community we have at Correct, formerly Onnit. But it started with Onnit, and the foundations that were built there. And I always tell everybody, I'm like, it's John Wolf, it's Juan Leja, it's Shane Hines. Like, those are like in my opinion, in my eyes, those are like the 3 pillars that the gym was built on. And like, it was the education, it was like the flow, it was the brute strength, and just all like, again, so symbiotic. And it was just, again, so different. And that has now continued. Like, we still have our like primal classes and our unconventional tools. It just feels like it's a little more mainstreamed now, which is not necessarily a bad thing, because obviously, like I said, the vibes are immaculate. And it's still just a great place. And the community, like you said, I mean, we went to Rome. There's a group of, I want to say 8 of us, all from the gym, whether it was employees or members. All of us were from there. And we have a group now with Anthony down in Costa Rica, and they're all from the gym. Mm-hmm. It's just one of those things, like you said, that so many relationships, whether they are friendships, business partnerships, actual relationships, like everything is there. Like there, if you're looking for someone to help you, clean out a property or mow a lawn, or how to learn how to do Bitcoin, there's somebody there to help you. And it's wild, man.
I'm just looking for a fluffer.
Yeah. Yeah. They're there too. But yeah, man, it's again, I very much accredit a lot of that to like I said, you, Shane, and Juan.
Yeah, man. I mean, the 3 of us got to do a lot of cool things together, man. It was really cool. But it wasn't just us. We just had to always, so many people came in and contributed their artistry, their perspective. And And I always considered our education a living body of work. So like if some educator came in and they like presented a novel concept or idea, and I was like, well, shit, this challenges the precepts. Shane and I would literally, after taking a seminar all weekend, sit in the whiteboard and we're like, how does this concept, how does this theory, how does this method, it play with every other method that we have? And then when does it break something? When does it when is symbiotic, or when is it additive? When is it, and so it was just a really great time. And the three guys that you said, myself, Shane, and Juan, we were doing that, whether it was for the gym, for the education, trying to figure out, what the heck people wanted. Fitness is a dynamic landscape. It changes all the time, and you have to stay ahead of it, and you have to stay on the pulse of your own community while also understanding that the industry as a whole is evolving too, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, we were like the first big like High Rocks affiliate gym in town. And so again, we were kind of like ahead of the curve on that. But it is like you said, you do have to stay like on the forefront of an industry that's constantly changing. And I feel like we are able to encompass everything so well, because we do have the more unconventional community. We do have bodybuilders in there. We do have High Rocks athletes in there. We do have actual athletes in there. So I can't believe High Rock stands for hybrid rock star. So that still just chaps my ass, man. But we have everything, and there's space for everything in there, And again, it's been cool to be a part of before the big change, even before the buyout. I was there when Aubrey was still owning it.
Yeah.
And which was cool for me because I'd read his book 2 or 3 times before I started working there. And I had started already like following like The Fighter and the Kid, listening to like Brendan Schaub and Brian Callen.
Yeah, Brian Callen's hilarious, bro.
Yeah, super funny.
In person is even funnier.
Yeah, I think they're local now, right?
I think so. Yeah,
local to Austin. Because I always see Callen up training with Freeze, like doing like boxing and jiu-jitsu stuff up at Archetype.
Yeah, I've seen him up there up more often. I think I saw a Juan post and they were all getting after it one day.
Yeah, and then. Brendan Schaub, he's with Correct. They came in and filmed an ad the other day back in Sports Performance. So.
Oh, that's right. I was in that day. I think that was last Tuesday or 2 Tuesdays ago. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're getting ready to shoot. And I was like, what's going on in here?
Yeah.
I was like, dang.
Well, yeah, I'm sure. I mean, you've got to do so many cool videos back there. I was going to say, I'm sure you've seen some cool videos get shot, but you've been a part of some really cool. I remember early on, and this was a really cool experience. I tell this story to everyone. It was the first time Rogan had come into the gym, and he was coming in to train with you, and you guys were like filming in the back. And I remember I'll leave names out of it, but there were like 2 coaches that I specifically remember just kind of like lost puppy, following him around, like trying to like be in the same room and like look and see what's going on. And I'm like, you guys look bad right now. And this was how early it was. I was still up at the front house. I was sitting up there folding towels. And then you and Joe came up to the cafe to get smoothies. Mm-hmm. And again, I was just sitting there folding towels. I literally had to tell our intern, like, quit staring. I'm like, dude, you're really making it awkward. Quit staring. And then you called me over. You're like, hey, Nick, like, come meet Joe real quick. I was like, oh, shit. All right, cool. And it was because of, like, work I'd done with MMA fighters.
Yeah.
And also, I'm pretty sure at that point, like, you kind of know, like, okay, I can introduce Nick to Joe and he's not going to end up pregnant. And it's one of those things where it's like, you can't, like, some people I'm just like, I don't want to bring my friend around that person,
I mean, there's a lot of people who don't know how to act in that environment, right?
Yeah.
But the reality is, for the most part, everybody is pretty respectful in that space because we've had so many people with great gravitas showing up.
Yeah.
You talked about the people that work at Onnit and the personality and the openness, but even like these affluent personalities, like, they're generally pretty down to earth. At this point, Joe is obviously one of the most sought after people in the world, right? So give the dude some space,
Yeah.
But when we're hanging out, I think I remember this at the cafe. We hung out at the cafe for like half an hour after the session, just bullshitting. And Joe talked to almost everybody who just walked up and said hi, as long as they weren't lurking and weird. So, which was great, man. I just, so many wonderful experiences over there. So many really cool people I got to meet. And back to the whole point is that all those people, they're really just cool people too.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
absolutely.
They're
Yeah.
like, I remember, I don't think, were you at front of house when Freeze came in?
Yes.
You were, right?
Yeah, I
'Cause
was
you're like,
sitting up
hey.
there.
Yeah, he came in to say
I feel
hi
like
to
such
me.
an idiot.
I didn't know. So, I'm really oblivious. All right. People at the company were like, you're training this person today. I'm like, okay, who dat?
Yeah.
New number. Who dis? I'm just like, oh, okay. That's who that is. But it's just, my head's down. I'm working on geeking out on movement and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, that's really cool. I'm going to train that guy. Okay, cool. But the reality is like, man, everybody, they get to be just themselves there. For the most part, everybody's pretty respectful about their space.
Mhm.
You see people in and out all the time. They might be like, oh, well, what's up, Joe? Like on the way out or something, but not like trying to hold his balls for him or anything.
Yeah,
like
while he's
that,
doing a kettlebell swing.
Yeah.
Let me spot you.
Let me spot you. But yeah, no, man. I mean, so much has changed, but like I said, so much has stayed the same. And then just think about that, right? Like post-COVID, we were at 100-something members, and you guys are 10x that now. I walk in there, and there's very few times where there's really like a quiet spot to hide.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know I got yelled at for using my tripod in there now.
Oh no.
No, I'm just kidding. I didn't.
I was like, who?
No, I didn't. But it's so like justifiably busy that like it's not an influencer gym anymore. There's not space for somebody to like, don't walk in front of my camera. Everything's a walkway if someone's not standing in it.
Right. Yeah. Because it's a legit training facility now. And again, the amount of people, because we still run all of our classes and more than we've ever had. And then you add the open gym on top of that. It's really cool to see the growth. And we still get a good amount of like people back there like, hey, we're closing off sports performance to film like we did with Brendan Schaub or whoever. So it's cool. And like you said, the people that come in there, it's so cool. I mean, Jake Paul's been in there. Aaron Rodgers has been in there. I remember, to go back to that story when Freeze came in, it was so fucking funny because I am a huge baseball fan. And the fact that he was such a presence with the Cardinals, and I'm a huge Cubs fan, so I hate the Cardinals. But for whatever reason, when he came in, I didn't recognize him. And he just looked like a big dude. He's wearing like Jordans and like Jordan shorts, just kind of so like unassuming looking. And he comes in and he was talking about like how he was doing the Onnit 6 programs before, like during COVID. Mm-hmm. And he was asking about you. And then he had mentioned that he had just retired from baseball. And me being the jackass that I am, I thought he meant like, because I still play men's league baseball. And so that's what I thought he was talking about. Like, I just retired from rec league baseball. And so like me, like, I'm like, who the fuck says they retired from rec league baseball? So I kind of tried to call him on it. I was like, oh yeah, who'd you played for? He's like, well, I came up with the Cardinals and then Anaheim, Pittsburgh, and then finished up with the Dodgers. I was like, what'd you say your last name was? And he's like, Freeze. And I'm like, oh, you mean World Series hero David Freeze? And he's like, yeah. And he's the most humble guy. Like I've worked at this point, I've been very fortunate to work with a lot of like big name athletes. And he will not talk about himself, does not ever like fluff up his accolades, and which is wild because like even last night watching a football game, they were honoring Joe Buck because he, the famous announcer, he just got the Ford Frick Award for reporting, and one of Joe Buck's highlights was David Freeze. And I'm like, this is Sunday Night Football, and I'm seeing a David Freeze highlight. Like that's like he's one of those guys that had one of those all-time moments and all-time postseason, and he'll never talk about it.
Yeah,
like if you come up and ask like, hey, are you David Freeze? He'll be like, yeah, but like he's never like. I've never once. The only time I've ever seen him like flex his name was at a golf course, just because he didn't want to golf with two random dudes.
Like, all right, this is when it matters right now.
Yeah, he's like, I don't want to golf with these two guys, and I was like, fuck, okay. But like other than that, like I said, super humble guy, and I met him sitting in front of the house. You know what I mean? And it's just one of those things where, it's a place, man. It's a place to be.
Yeah, I mean, I remember. So the funny story for David and he had reached out on Instagram, and then we were going to hang out, but then COVID took off, right? And so then I didn't talk to him, and then I think he showed up at the gym. Mm-hmm. This is the story you're just talking about. Randomly was in the neighborhood or whatever, stopped by once he got clearance, like that he could because he has an extended
Oh, yeah.
family, right? So
Yeah,
like
yeah.
he was concerned about bringing stuff back home.
Mhm.
And so then he shows up, you talk to him, and I'm like, oh shoot, I was supposed to catch up with him like a year ago, but I didn't know who. Back to what I'm saying, I'm oblivious about a lot of things. You know, I was like, hey, you know, he seems like a real cool dude. I was just chatting with him, and it was going down in the DMs.
Down in the DM.
You know, next thing you know, he came in. And I was like, well, that's perfect. You know, like you can relate to him, his experiences, his backstory, you know, and his lens of performance way better than me. And so it was like, it was perfect. You guys built that relationship so organically. And like I said, you guys worked together for years, right?
Yeah, good 3 years. Yeah. Dave's a good dude. Really cool guy. I owe a lot to him, man. He allowed me to experience a lot of really cool things. So yeah, very grateful for that. And again, it just one of the many, I mean, God, there's so many things about being in that building that I'm grateful for, like friends that I've made, people that I've met, and like everything. I mean, moving out here was like so terrifying because it was during 2020, and I had to get out of New Mexico because Performance Rancher just got shut down for like the third time, and I was like, I gotta get the hell out of here. But when I first came out here, and it was like that imposter syndrome, because I know that Lawrence Herrera, the owner of Performance Ranch, had already reached out to you. Like, hey, I got a coach moving out here. Just would love to introduce you guys. And you're like, yeah, sure, send him in. And me like not believing I could do it, I didn't get your number from him. And so when I first moved out here, I shot a message in your DMs on Instagram. And, you know, your DMs are popping, I'm sure. You're such a popular guy.
I just suck at social media. I wouldn't go that far.
But it went like 3 months, like unopened. And I was like, all right, cool. Like whatever. And I was so like just willing to be like, I tried, like whatever. And then a couple of buddies that I had met through a certification had opened a gym in San Antonio. And they saw that I had moved out to New Braunfels, and they're like, dude, come down, like check out the gym. We'd love to hear from you. I kind of helped them develop a little bit of like a MMA protocol. And then they offered me a job. And I was like, well, fuck it. I guess I'll drive down to San Antonio. I was like, that's not what I pictured moving out here, but I'll drive down to San Antonio. So it's like, again, very bare bones, like raw gym, but like cool people. And so I was like, yeah, I'm down. And then the next day, you had posted on your story about the gym reopening from the big freeze, or the big snowstorm of 2021. It was like 3 inches, but it was a lot of ice. That was the thing that would like,
and it just stayed frozen for
and also week, Central Texas isn't prepared for that kind of shit.
All the elevated highways are not good for ice, by the way.
God, yeah, exactly. And so you had posted like, hey, gym's opening back up on your story. And I remember I dropped like a flame emoji on it. And you saw that. And then you saw the previous message and you're like, oh shit, dude, I'm sorry I didn't see your message. Like, definitely come on in. I'd love to introduce you to GM, Larry and Juan. And then, and then we could chat for a little bit. And so I was like, absolutely. And so I went in, met with y'all, and obviously one thing led to another. And I remember talking to that gym in San Antonio. I was like, guys, I know I said I'd take this job, but you got to understand, like, I just got offered a position at Onnit. And they were like, yeah, we understand what Onnit is. We know that's why you moved out here. Like, they're like, by no means, like, feel bad about taking that. Like, please go do that. They were super cool about it because I felt bad. I was like, oh, fuck, I just told them I'd start working. I didn't sign any paperwork or anything. But yeah, it was that time. That's the story of how, like, I started talking to you. And again, at first I was like, nah, I don't even want to get his contact from Lawrence Herrera. It was like almost it was too real at that point. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, those moments, they come for all of us, right? I'd be lying right now if I said I don't get like apprehensive in certain conversations. You just don't feel like you're in a position of strength at the moment. It doesn't mean, it's just, you moved out here. No security. Nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, it's pretty natural to feel a little bit like, man, if I swing big and I strike out, it feels like it's going to be very public, like it's going to be definitive and final, right? Yeah. So it's almost more comfortable. Like, let me just kind of, forage a little bit and see, maybe I can build some momentum and then kind of take the leap. I'm really glad we had that opportunity to connect and put you in play. And like I said, it's been good. Hey, what would have happened if you weren't there to teach 20 something classes in 1 week?
Yeah, right.
You were looking pretty tired at the end.
Oh, dude, I was spent, especially because I was living in New Braunfels at that time.
Yeah,
and so I would just stay there all day. I would teach like a 6 a.m. class, and then like a noon class and then a 6:30 p.m. class. And that would be like on a Friday when we used to have the 6:30 p.m. class. And again, I couldn't go back home in between. I mean, I could have, but like that's an hour-long drive.
Each way, yeah.
Each way, yeah. So, there were so few times that I would like drive home between clients or anything. And that's why I was always back in HQ. And then you were right in the cubicle. I intentionally moved into the cubicle next to you. And I was like, all right, let's see if some of this. I was going to make a Diddy reference. Let's see if some of this John Wolf rubs off on me.
I was going to say, I'll rub off on you anytime you like, man. I was waiting for it. I was like, wait, is he not going to say the word? Is he not going to? I mean, all I need is an invitation.
Yeah,
give me a target.
Just eye contact.
I mean, this table's pretty long, but I think I can.
Yeah, I still got it.
Yeah.
Man, I love that my pastor watches this show. But it was one of those things where being back there and getting to have those conversations with you is invaluable. I mean, it was like, again, I'm very thankful to Lawrence Herrera, who again, I consider you, Lawrence, and then another coach from back there, Esteban Lucero, is like 3 guys that really shaped me into the coach that I am today. And it's one of those things like having those more emotional talks with you, and whereas in Lawrence was much more like structured through training, and like Lawrence was like a good like presence like in that community to where like it was one of those things where it was like a little more structure. Esteban was like the first true strength coach that I worked with, strength and conditioning coach, that really like when I started interning kind of took me under his wing. And so like again, kind of combining all those and being able to have you there like in the building was just again an experience that I'm so grateful for.
Well, I'm sorry you got subjected to a plethora of wildly inappropriate conversations.
Copious amounts.
Listening over my cubicle wall. I don't have much of a filter, but
that's what we love about you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I usually feel safe and secure and just being myself. But, I think the reality is also, some of these inappropriate conversations, they sound inappropriate, but they're always circle back to some type of like, hopefully some type of value.
Yeah, for sure. It was you and Shane, man. Like, again, I loved Lawrence for like really like helping me like become a more structured coach. But you and Shane, like if I was having something deeper going on, like I remember talking to you guys like all the time, and it was awesome to just have that, because you guys, and I'm sure I always say this, guys, you guys are like the perfect like yin and yang. Like you are like the fiery, let's get after it, and Shane's like the like let's cool things down and like flow with it. And it was so perfect to like watch you guys again, especially doing the durability certification. Because you guys are speaking the same language, but like different dialect. It's just so cool to watch. Yeah,
that's my ride or die right there, bro. I think if I was to say one person I've grown the most with personally, professionally, spiritually through those conversations is definitely Shane Hines, So, and to this day, he's probably my most trusted confidant, right? Like if we don't talk all the time. You get old, you don't talk to your friends as often as you used to. It's not like when you're in your 20s where you spend like 4 or 5 hours a day with the same people. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't matter because he came over, hung out at the house a couple months ago. We just sat and talked the shit, shot the shit for a couple hours and just caught up on a lot of the deeper experiences we've had in this whole transition post Onnit type of stuff. For him, it was a lot more recent. So I wanted to check in with him and see how things have been going. But, I think a lot of times we attach value to these things, right? Like relationships, roles, jobs, titles. And then we build an identity around those things. I know I'm speaking from my personal experience. I was on it for almost 10 years. I brought my life's work from California, which was Wolf Fitness Systems. Yeah. Installed everything into the Onnit Academy and Onnit education system that I had already built up for almost a decade, right? And in doing so, took my name off of it. Well, I mean, my signature's on the certifications and stuff, but like it was Onnit's branded stuff now, right? And then almost 10 years later, it was like going through a divorce, which I've gone through, right? Yeah. the loss of identity, the loss of relationships. I don't know, you go through a divorce. Not all your friends are going to end up being your friends after.
Okay. Yeah. I've been down that road too.
I wanted those friends,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
You know, like, oh, they
I like
went
watching
with
football
you.
with him.
Yeah, exactly. Who am I going to go watch the game with now? But the reality is just, it was very much like that. And so I wanted to check in with my boy and see how he was faring. I think he's still relatively novel. You know, it's a couple of years for me. And I've been able to recreate a lot of the things, right? So like for me, it was like Wolf Fitness Systems, Wolfpack 1.0, Onnit Gym, Onnit Education System, Onnit Academy. This Wolfpack 2.0. It was like, I got challenged by all of you to have different perspective than just the one that I came in with that was convenient because it fit within the delivery of my little studio I had into this big space that, like you said, bodybuilders, hybrid rock star athletes,
acrobats. There's everything there, man.
Yeah, all of it. You got people that are just hard chargers. You got people that are super woo. You got all of it living in one container, and it was a big opportunity to grow. And now leaving that space, realizing so many of the things that I got to bring with me into the next evolution of me and my brand, which came after. I just want to make sure I do a little side note here, sidebar for you. After a lot of imposter syndrome, man. I'll just be honest with you.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It happens to all of us.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's so funny to look back on because it really I think it came during that time where I covered all those classes, and I was in there, and again I'd been shadowing Juan and Rain for a little while, but you know, that was maybe a week or two, and then it was one of those things where I was like, by the end of that time, I'm like, oh, I'm every bit of the coach I think I am. Not like this, like, oh shit, I hope I'm not fucking up guy. I'm like, no, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. But yeah, like you look back on those times and you're like, what was I so afraid of? Like, look how actually like jumping into that changed my life. And to kind of go back to yours and Shane's relationship, man, there is nothing better than a low maintenance friend.
Yeah.
Like when you can like call them up and it's like you just talked yesterday and it's been months. Like I have a handful of those where like when I go back to Albuquerque and I visit my buddy Joel, I know that I can crash at his house and we can sit there on the couch and like crack a couple beers and play NCAA and we don't have to say a word. And it's just like we were back like fresh out of college. And those are the kind of friendships that I'm like, thank God for those, man, because low maintenance is the best. High maintenance is I've done it too many times.
You know, this is kind of what I was alluding to when I was saying is we getting older, we don't have a lot of. I got two kids. We got one here in Texas, another one's in California. I'm going to be flying to California to see my family. I haven't seen often enough. Man, if I don't talk to some of my family members as often as I'd like, and then you are supposed to be my friend and you're on my ass about not calling you enough, I'm like, I don't think this is going to work. Yeah. You know, not to say I don't care about you, but if being your friend in this capacity requires that much effort, I don't have it for you. You know?
Yeah. I give my energy where I can.
Yeah, I'll show up consistently. I'll show up when you truly need me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I will move mountains and get things, take things off my plate to show up in a true time of need. But if you just need somebody to call you to remind you that it's noon or that the sun's out or that you're awesome, like, I'm sorry, you have to bring a certain level of groundedness and self-awareness into this relationship so that we can have a long, fruitful relationship. I'm going to see some friends, hopefully out in Vegas in February. I haven't seen in years, but they're the same people. Like, man, they're like, doesn't matter. The party is going to be great. As soon as we walk in the same room, it's going to be amazing.
Love that. Yeah. And also kind of to speak on Shane recently leaving, I remember, so he texted me when it happened and I remember thinking, I was like, that's it. Like, that's the end of it. Like, that's the end of Onnit. Because like, again, you guys were like, the two-headed dragon. And when they severed the second head, I was like, well, dead body. Like I was sad. I was obviously sad when you left. But like, Shane was still in the building. Like he
Yeah.
was still there and around. And that was nice because again, it is very much like two sides of the same coin, you and him. So it was nice to still have him around, but I hadn't seen him in a little while since since Aubrey bought the gym back. Shane was still around from time to time, but obviously there was a big separation between the gym and the supplement side. And
You mean when they like actually closed the doors between the
they sealed the tomb. I was like, damn.
like, wait, I'm not welcome over there
I know.
anymore?
I was so sad because again, I spent a lot of time back there.
Yeah.
And it was so
That couch you used to take a nap on, I don't know if you I don't know if you should look at that with a black light.
yeah, I almost got stuck a couple times. But dude, seriously, like it always blew my mind because it's a nice like headquarters space back there. There's multiple different areas. It's not all like one kind of like monotone look. There's couches, there's chairs, there's TVs, there's benches, there's a coffee machine, all kinds of shit.
Say the coffee on tap, bro.
Yeah, coffee on tap,
or kombucha.
Yeah, and the kombucha on tap, and then there was always like Topo Chico's in the fridge back there, and it was just wild because more often than not, it would be like me and maybe one or two other people back there, and it was a massive space. But that was me coming in after COVID, and at that point they were like, "Oh yeah, a lot of people can work from home." But it was so nice, dude, to have that whole space and just be like the only person back there. I'm like, take a nap.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
It definitely, it was definitely a different pre and post COVID experience in the HQ. Before it was, Friday night happy hours and the creative team on Fridays at 4 p.m. will close the creative cave and just rock out. Like, everybody played an instrument or, the warehouse crew and the creative crew would meet up in the Wally court and play, volleyball or like I forget what the foot one version was.
Oh yeah. I don't forget what it's called too.
Yeah, I don't know, but it was just always a very interactive environment, and yeah, just so many things have changed. I think for me that whole COVID era and building that community, I didn't realize how powerful an online community could be because I thrive in more, one-on-one, in person. You're all sweaty. I'm going to hug you anyway. You know me is if I walk through the gym and I see somebody rub their shoulder or something, like, what's going on?
Oh yeah, you'll get in there.
No, like, hey, come over here. Like, nah, coach, I'm good. Like, no, what's up with the shoulder? No, it's just a little tight. Like, I get it, lay down.
Yeah.
You're like, oh,
cured many ailments.
Yeah, I was like, let's troubleshoot some stuff real quick. I'm like, you can get back to your workout in like 10 minutes.
Yeah, man. It was cool. How did they find you in California? How did you even start with Onnit?
Yeah, it was kind of a crazy experience. So Shane and I, we came up in an education system. We developed, up the chain to head coaching and then being involved in delivering education for Scott Sonnen's old system, TACFIT, CST, RMAX International. So we were doing that. Then Mark DeGrasse, he had started a unconventional fitness magazine called My Mad Methods that highlighted, all the unconventional tools and methods and coaches. Wow. And he would have us write articles and share different insights. One day he was driving through, because he was from Southern California, driving through Monterey, and he Monterey's
beautiful.
Yeah, so that's where my old gym was, Salinas. So it was like the salad bowl of the world, right? So, but it's in Monterey County. And so he wanted to get some content on club swinging. One of my coaches, Jim Romig, had already lined up something to do an article for him. And so I happened to be there. And I was like, man, you're a publisher. You always want content. You want you want to do some more content real quick while you're here? And he's all, yeah. And I was, well, he's all, what can you do? I was like, I don't know. What do your readers like?
What can't I do?
I mean, I wasn't gonna. That's put a dollar or put a quarter in the machine and see what happens. So he was swinging clubs. I was like, I've been doing clubs and kettlebells for a long time. What he's like, kettlebells are always hit. I said, well, what do your readers want? He said, well, they like when somebody does something really heavy or something they never seen before. I'm like, well, I'm pretty strong. I could do really heavy, but other people can do the same weight. You know, at the time, there weren't all these mega sized kettlebells either. It was like 48 kilos was as big as it went.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I could press 48 kilo, but other people could press 48 kilos. So yeah, let's try the other thing. And so we shot like, it was basically almost like call out a move, and then I'm going to turn it into a kettlebell flow, call out a groundwork movement that we use for like martial arts performance enhancement type of stuff, right? Transitional movements on the ground. Now we use it also just for mobility purposes, right? Like closed chain mobility.
Yeah.
But I was like, told my coach, Jim, I was like, call out a movement. I was like, and then I'll turn it into a sequence, like on the fly, right? And so then we filmed that, and it went off. Mark published it, and people were trying to do the stuff. I was like, no, I wasn't telling you guys to do that stuff. You don't even know how to do the body weight part, much less be loaded. So then I designed a DVD, like a system, and then traveled to Europe to teach. That was the first time I went to Europe.
Oh, nice.
So, and then did Milan and Florence. So Milan and Florence were 2 seminars, and then Cambridge
that's cool.
and London. So,
wow.
So 2 weekends I taught. So shortly thereafter, Mark hit me up maybe a year later. And I was going through it, man. Leaving an organization, trying to figure out, again, kind of like, because that relationship dissolved, you realize a lot of those relationships were part of the community, right? So rebuilding that with my local gym, it was great. We, invited lots of cool educators into the space. Always thinking about a body, a living body of work, the education that we were designing for our own studio. And then Mark hits me up. He's like, hey, got this opportunity in Austin, this company called Onnit. They wanted to do an education system. I told them, like, I'm not an educator. I'm a, info publisher, content producer. And so content marketer. I was like, but I know who you should talk to. And so not too long after that, I think it was probably April 2014, I flew out here, interviewed with Aubrey, and he's like, yeah, all right, you're the guy. Like, put a proposal together. So I go home, I put a proposal together to work remotely, just designing the education system. And then in July or so, they reached back out and said, hey, you saw that we released the gym space. We're going to open the gym. Kind of makes sense if the guy who also operates a gym already is designing our education system, is here to install the education system in the new gym. I was like, well, yeah, that would make sense.
That would make sense, yeah, in theory.
Yeah. Well, how much would it cost to get you to move out here? I was like, I will write up a new proposal. So that's how I ended up at Onnit.
Wow, man, that's amazing. Again, I knew you were from Monterey, but I didn't know like all the early coaching stuff. I didn't know that you and Shane came up through the same system.
Yeah. So like in 2000, so I haven't. I'm open about it, but like in early 2000s, I was going crazy partying. Ended up experimenting with methamphetamine. That did not agree with me, but I was also working full time, going to school full time, and partying full time. So the problem wasn't that I liked it. The problem was that I was crashing when I wanted to be up or needed to be up to fulfill commitments, and then ended up being strung out really quickly. Ended up being a 130-pound meth addict. So in the early 2000s, it was like this era of rebuilding from like bare bones, to trying to become I was always physically capable growing up. I was a martial artist growing up. And so I wanted to relearn how to live by the bylaws of our dojo, the code of conduct that was instilled in me by my sensei and within our community, and then apply it in fitness. And so that's when, like say 2000, just 2001, 2003, somewhere around there. Did the RKC in Minneapolis. It was like Steve Cotter, Mike Mahler, Steve Maxwell, like all these guys who ended up doing their own thing eventually, right? We're all part of that group. And so did that seminar, and then Scott Sonnen's seminar, all within like a month and a half apart from each other. And I trained like a year just swinging clubs and kettlebells and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And, I was shredded by then, right? Yeah. A year of just going after it. And so didn't start training people for 5 years after that, though. It was just for my own personal development. So it was like in my garage, I had kettlebells. You coming over to swinging some kettlebells. What are these weird baseball bats? I'm like, okay, don't swing it like a baseball bat. You won't be able to hold on to it. This is how you use it. And so, 2007, I started coaching people. Yeah, it was 2001. So 2001, 2007, started coaching people. 2008, the mortgage market crashed and I was working in mortgage. Right. So then I made a full-time transition into fitness. And then 2010, opened my own studio. December 1st, 2010. December 1st, 2014, opened the Onnit Gym.
Wow.
Yeah. And so, yeah. And then it's been a wild ride, dude. That's
crazy.
Sorry, yeah, it's kind of a sidebar.
No. I loved it. I love hearing that. Again, it's just so cool because for me, this is like, it's like Greek mythology. You're kind of like hearing like all the backstory and like it's so interesting to me. So when you were, and I do plan on having Shane, I've talked to Shane about it, about coming on. But when you came out here, when did he come out here?
Oh, so that's a whole nother story. So
he gets so excited.
So Mark DeGrasse brought me in. He was the former CFO, so Chief Fitness Officer, not finance, right? So he was the first one. And then he ended up leaving a handful of months after I got out here. And so they're like, well, you need to step into that role. I'm like, man, I really don't want to be that guy. I just want to be the director of education.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, well, if you guys want me to, I'll write up what I think the role should entail. A lot of writing proposals, right?
Yeah.
and how it could integrate into the business as a whole. They're like, yeah, this makes sense. I was like, okay, well, I can't do it alone. I need help. And I was like, yeah, I need somebody to help head up the education side if you want me to fulfill this bigger overarching role where I'm sitting in a bunch of meetings I don't really want to be in anyway.
Yeah.
So then I brought Shane in to interview with Aubrey, and I was like, yeah, cool. But Shane was a Canadian citizen. So
oh shit, yeah, that's right.
We had to figure out how to get him a visa to be able to even get out here. That's a story I'll let Shane tell because he just told it when he visited the house, and it's an epic story. But let's just say it was through a lot of effort, a lot of faith, a lot of hard work on Shane and his family's part to pursue the opportunity to move out here and fulfill his role with Onnit, to work with me. And I'm really glad he did, because he did stay at Onnit for 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, just the impact that you two specifically, because you are the face to so many people that think of Onnit. You know what I mean? Like all the people that came through the certifications and then kind of became the online community. It's like you guys were on it. And so again, for me to come through the education and actually get to do a cert with both of you was awesome. I still have the pictures on my phone.
Let's post up the pictures, man.
Yeah, I will. I'll have to post those up. And then I got to talk to Shane because we have talked about him coming on. And he's like, yeah, absolutely. I'd love to. So I gotta get that arranged maybe after the new year.
Yeah, dude. You just plan for a longer recording set. Shane's stories are epic and they go long. I could be verbose, but you got to give him some breathing room.
Yeah. He's told me some stories about like missions he's gone on. Like we're working with tribes and stuff. And I'm like, oh my God.
Well, he grew up in the Arctic, man.
Yeah.
Like the Arctic. Not like just north of the wall, but far north of the wall. Yeah.
That's so funny. Yeah, I'll have to have him on. So what are you up to nowadays, man?
Man, these days I'm just trying to keep things simple. Had a small team in California I built up, had a big team in Austin, which was really fucking awesome, right?
Yeah.
And now it's like coming full circle. I'm really more of a solopreneur, right? So I have Wolfpack Coaching and Consulting. We basically offer 3 things right now that may expand as time goes on. But first, get the foundation set, right? So coaching, when I was part of Onnit, I've always been a coach.
Yeah.
I've always been an educator. But I couldn't coach people. I coached Rogan or Lance or, but that's like
Action Bronson.
But that's not really coaching. It's like a session here and there, tuning them up, being a resource, shining light on some things, and that was great. But to me, coaching is like a long-term investment in someone's development through multiple phases of their evolution, right? It's not just like, ideally, if I'm your coach, I'm not going to work with you for 3 months. It's like most of the people I work with, they've worked with for years, you know?
Yeah.
in an informal capacity, that might have been true even when I was at Onnit, but now it's a formal offering. I can actually coach and be involved intimately in an individual's process. Like you said, like, hey, if I'm going through stuff, I'm not even, I coach on fitness, but most of my clients are people who lead in their families, organizations, and communities, right? Or they're working towards seeing themselves as such.
Sure.
And as such, we're working on mindset, movement, and lifestyle, right? And the mindset being one of the major limiting factors. So we're talking about like self-leadership, we're talking about identity building through fitness, because I just told you, I use fitness as my personal rehabilitation tool.
Yeah.
The reason why our education system was really a self-development system disguised as a fitness system was because fitness was my vehicle for, like, I couldn't directly, fix what was going on in my head or in my heart or in my soul, but I could commit to 10 minutes of physical activity and build a growth mindset where I was transcending what I could not do at this time.
Mm-hmm.
And I could prove that I could do it if I put the effort in. And that being able to apply that growth mindset in all these other areas was really important. So now coaching that's really what I do now is the tools we have to coach now more effectively, between like wearables, data analysis tools. Man, it's freaking phenomenal. It's really cool.
Yeah.
So coaching is where my first pillar of my business. Content is just being able to put out the creative part of the process of different programs and your purpose-driven programming or workout series that people might want to subscribe to. I deliver content. So I have a coaching platform. I have a content delivery platform, which is just a fitness app.
Yeah.
So the Wolfpack Fit app, people can subscribe to for, $240 for a year. And I'm launching usually, so in October, I put 3 new programs in. If I sold them as individuals, that'd be $150 right there probably.
Yeah.
So and then you can track your nutrition, track your progress, take your progress photos, track your load and metrics, progression, all in the app. So that's pretty cool.
Nice.
And the last thing is community. And for me right now, the community that we have is free. We just talked about the Onnit Tribe community kind of getting nuked. So I kind of saw that writing on the wall, and I just put together a little Facebook group. There's about 750 people in there right now.
Very nice.
That's the Wolfpack Fit Collective on Facebook. So if you want to be around other awesome people on journeys towards self-leadership and personal development, then come hang.
Yeah. Man, it's interesting because I have a similar reason as like why I got into coaching was just wanted to change my life. And the same thing, like the impact that fitness has had on my life is like most of my clients I have now have been for years. And it's not just because I can deliver a good workout or a well-structured program, but you're like seeing an impact in these people's lives. And now you're meeting kids, you're meeting wives, you're getting invited to birthday parties. And it's one of those things, it's like, oh, like I am so much more than just a coach to this person. And it's just one of those things, like you said, like the self-development and like trying to guide people through that as well. And most of these people, as you know, a lot of people, everyone that trains it on it is pretty, well off. And so like a lot of these people, they are still kind of like looking to me to help them grow is such a blessing. And also like it's a big responsibility to show up every day as that person. And it's just been so rewarding,
And it requires you to keep growing.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. It's pushed me beyond so many boundaries. And that goes into every aspect of my life. Personal relationships I've made through gyms, or even getting into fighting. Like through training fighters, I got into Muay Thai myself, and I have fought since. And again, the shape that has gotten me into versus when I very first started getting in training, I was not far off from being like 230 soft pounds. And then the way that my life has changed and the confidence that has brought into other aspects of my life. It's been such a cool experience, man.
So, I don't know. Did I hear correctly? Is there a fight coming up?
Yes, yeah. It's looking quite promising that I'm going to fight March 7th here in Austin.
Word.
Yeah, they haven't announced the venue, but they did announce that it'll be in Austin, March 7th. I've spoken to the owner of the promotion, as well as someone that helps with like matchmaking to get like what weight would I want to fight at, what's my record, and then also the promotion, the two like flyers they've released on Instagram, like they've only tagged like a handful of people, but they've tagged me in both of them. So I'm like, all right, looks pretty promising. Like they're gonna try to get me a match. So fingers crossed for that, man. But that's one more time into the gray.
Let's do it.
Yeah, that's it's oh dude, it's so wild. I get so like tingly just thinking about like what I have ahead of me, like moving towards that. It's gonna be fun, but it's definitely gonna be something I'm gonna celebrate after.
Well, it's just kind of back to the theme, right? Like there's probably a lot of energy. There's what do you say? Like anticipation versus anxiety, right? I think at this point you've done it enough times where it's more like anticipation. But you still got to work through the resistance to show up and do the work and know that reward is on the other end. But it's the same process that you're facilitating for everybody else that we just talked about, that you've committed to yourself and just in a venue that you haven't done for a while, that is going to be like coming back home, man. I can't wait. I can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And I do feel more prepared going into this than like my last fight, just because of like, I spoke to Jen Elam today, our amazing PT, like, hey, I got a fight coming up. And she's like, all right, well, let's get you rehabbed. And I got a massage therapist on board as well. So like, it's stuff that it's like, okay, I got a nutritionist, Alejandra, she was a member at Onnit for a while, and she did her internship at the UFC Performance Institute. So I have like, all right, cool. Like and I also have, the greatest strength and conditioning facility I could ever want to train at. And the knowledge that Lawrence Herrera has instilled in me to train fighters. So I can train myself. And it's just one of those things where I'm like, okay, like, yes, I'm 38 years old and I haven't fought in, it'll almost be 7 years. Holy shit. April of 2019 was the last time I fought. I feel like that's older than Philip, or more time than Philip Rivers coming back to the Colts right now.
That's big press right now.
I know, yeah, breaking news. But it's one of those things where I'm like, I feel good though. Like I feel, because also I don't have the mileage.
Yeah.
Like as a fighter that's like John Jones hasn't taken a bunch of damage, so bad example. But like God, what's his name? Matt Brown, the immortal Matt Brown.
Oh, dude, yeah.
Yeah, that guy's been around forever, but he has been in some battles. Like his body probably feels awful. You know what I'm saying? Whereas I'm like, I don't have high mileage. Yes, I've been an athlete for a long time, and yes, I have fought, but I don't have 85 fights under my belt where I have like thin tissue on my eyebrows that's easy to split, or concussion problems, or a broken nose that I'm just waiting till I'm done fighting to get fixed so I can't breathe properly. There's nothing like that going on.
Yeah.
And now I have a much stronger base than I did from my last fight because of the years of strength training that I've done since then. And so again, I do feel strong. I feel confident. And again, if anything, I feel like a better version of myself from the last time I fought, because I've just had all this more experience and all this more adaptation going into it.
Well, you know what? I love hearing that. From 30 to 37, a better version of Nick.
Oh, dude.
It just reminded me I'm actually 47. And you know what? If you could say the same thing at 47 you just said right now, then we're going to celebrate.
Yeah, hell yeah, man.
It's a long game, dude. Let's keep it rolling.
And movement's medicine. You know that. Yeah.
Motion is lotion.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a new one. I was kidding. But like we are dipping our toes in the fountain of youth by doing what we're doing. You know what I mean? You look at, I don't know how many friends you still keep in contact with that went down different routes than you did since high school.
They look like they 20 years older than me. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. And they're moving like that. And I have like great buddies that I still golf with, but they're working regular jobs. You know what I'm saying? Like I have a buddy that works for UPS or, whatever. And it's like, you can see it in their movement. And I'm like, God dang, like what happened?
Yeah.
But again, we've spent our times in a world that to us has surrounded us. It's encompassed everything we do, from the trips we take to the people we eat meals with to how we spend our holidays. It is everything. And you have to realize, like, once you step back from that, it's like, oh, we're actually in a pretty small demographic, especially here in the US. When you look at obesity rates and stuff like that, it's like, oh, okay, we are the 1%ers because like we're just moving.
And we've created an environment that helps influence our
Yes.
behaviors, right? You just said it. Your friends, the people you do, what you do together, where you're going. You know, I think most humans don't realize that the environment that you allow yourself to be in has a huge influence on your behaviors.
Yeah.
Like, and you have to engineer. Like a big part of coaching is like, yeah, certain things you can't change so easily, but you have to be able to contextualize and be able to create an internal and an external environment. You have to acknowledge the influences that the environment has on you, so that you can game plan how to counteract it if it's not positive, right?
Yeah.
But denial doesn't help, right? And so what you're just saying is like, man, we stack the deck in our favor.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that is the fountain of youth. You know, being around other people who are living passionately, who are doing fun things, who are getting outside, which is one of the nice things about being in Austin too, right?
Man, yeah.
Who that's part of the culture of the city itself, not only of our community at the gym, right? And then, you know, you just got back from taking a trip to Europe. You just said your vacations are, let's go to Rome and then do a high rock. So I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool. You know, that's pretty cool.
And dude, yeah. And again, that was funny because it was definitely like a Rome trip that we happened to do high rocks in. Like people are like, because you know everyone there takes it so serious. Like guys like Gus and like Ashley and Mike, like these guys are committed. They're killing themselves in the gym to shave seconds off their time. And don't get me wrong, Anthony's a very good athlete, and I'm an athlete, but not in the endurance realm or that kind of realm. Like I'm good at rotational sports, baseball, golf, fighting. But we go out there and like I'm like, yeah, like you know, we cut out the drinking the day before, and some people are like, oh, I quit drinking 3 months before my high rocks. I was like, well, when in Rome, you know, like I literally just, it's just such a great trip. And I'm glad that we did it the way we did it. We still PR'd on our time because it's not like we didn't train at all. We trained very little, but we still trained. And so again, going out there is a trip of gym people. Yeah. And that's also the other part of like of coaching. Like, yes, it has encompassed my world, but it's kind of like Christianity. I'm trying to bring more people to it. You know what I'm saying? Like fitness, like I'm like, look at how much this can help you. And not just like aesthetically, like females, it's going to have you help denser bones. It's going to help with cognitive function moving forward. It's going to help with tissue tolerance. Like I can step off a curb and I don't have to worry about snapping my Achilles. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Or if you're an elderly person, it's going to help with your balance so you don't trip over a carpet. You know what I mean? So there's so many of these other aspects than just looking jacked, right? Which is a great side effect, but that shouldn't. I'm always in the boat of like people should train like athletes so that you move better longer, because that's what athletes are doing. They're trying to extend their careers. They're trying to move better. They're trying to be more powerful, and more studies are coming out too that are showing like the longer you train power, the longer you'll retain it. Because so many people, and for years, I remember seeing reports of like, or studies of like, oh, you'll retain strength for a long time, but you'll lose power. And now it's like, well, actually, no, it's just because people stop training power.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a specific adaptation to imposed demands, you know? Like you start moving slow and all you do is move slow, then that's all you have access to, right? So.
Yeah, and it's I saw another wild stat that something like 95% of people after the age of like 20 never sprint again. Yeah. And it's like, holy shit, man.
Set a dog on them, they'll run.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know, right? Yeah.
Might pull a hamstring.
Open an In-N-Out in a city that's never had an In-N-Out and watch how fast people run to it.
Oh, dude.
I just saw a report, I want to say maybe in Tennessee, they had opened one and it was like a 13-hour wait. Yeah, which is wild. If I were a betting man, which I'm not, they're opening 2 in Albuquerque in the next couple of years. They already planned them out. One's going to be like in the campus area. I think one's going to be by the airport. And man, if it's that kind of weight, I guarantee you some sort of violent crime is going to happen. Well, like someone's going to get shot or stabbed.
Albuquerque is it doesn't take much.
No, no, dude, the wrong look, literally. Man, I always tell people, and it's funny because like, then people will see like stats or like reports on Instagram or whatever, just something about like how like cops isn't allowed to film in Albuquerque anymore.
It's too wild, bro.
Yeah, they filmed too many episodes in Albuquerque. And so it's one of those things like people like never believe me. And then they're like, holy shit, dude, I just saw this thing on Albuquerque the other day. Like you weren't kidding. Like it's fucking wild. I'm like, I'm telling you, dude.
No, man. No, I mean, I've walked down some rough streets. One time I was in Albuquerque to do some SME work at Kirtland, the Air Force Base.
Yeah.
I was like, let me just go. I stayed at like Nob
That's
Hill.
not a great. Well, Nob Hill's not bad.
Yeah, I like Nob Hill. It was great.
Yeah, it's a college area.
Yeah,
Nob
exactly.
Hill.
And I was like, oh, this is really cool. Let me just go downtown and see what I can get into. I started walking down the street. I'm like, I should not be here by myself, unarmed.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And you're like a capable man.
I'm very capable, but most of the time people are like, oh, in normal environments to be like, that guy, he's not, I'm not tall in stature, but I'm not a small man. And so usually people are like respectfully, give me my space, whatever. But you could just see, like I could hear the thoughts of these like, some of them looked like they were tweaked out. Some of them, they all looked really rough. And I was like, how much you want to, like usually like, hey, let the big guy walk through. He seems nice. And over there, like, how much you want to bet I could take out the big guy? You know what I mean? That's like, I was like, you could just, and it was like every block, that same inner dialogue I could hear, it might be in my imagination, but like, a lot of nonverbal communication, right? Like,
no, Dad, and that's the thing, dude. Like that probably isn't your imagination.
No.
Like that's a vibe you're picking up for a reason. Because again, Albuquerque, everyone's trying to like test themselves. Everyone thinks they're a fighter. Everyone that's ever stepped foot into a Jackson Wink is like, yeah, I'm a fighter, whether they took a class or not. But also to go with that, that's also why MMA has been so big in Albuquerque, because everyone's built like us. It's all a bunch of short Hispanic dudes. You're not having dudes going to the NFL. Nobody's in the NBA from Albuquerque, New Mexico. Like, it's all short, scrappy dudes. And I mean, there's so few, like Carlos Condit, he's from New Mexico, but he's 6'3". Like, dude was an elite striker, but most of the guys are like built like John Dodson. You know what I mean? And they're looking for a reason. And Breaking Bad should have been a documentary.
Remember, I told you some of my history. It might be a little Breaking Bad-ish. So,
Breaking Bad-ish.
Like, I can't watch that show.
Yeah, dude. I'm sure. Mm-hmm. But yeah, man. So it like I said, growing up there was cool, but I'm so happy to be out here.
I like the Christmas chili. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, bro. I miss the food and the mountains. Yeah. And obviously, like I have several good buddies still there, but and my sister. But the food in the mountains, I'm like, every time I go back, I got to get a taste of both of those. Like,
give me some red and green, bro.
Yeah.
Give me some red and green.
You're a Christmas guy?
I mean, I go more green, but like
really interesting. I always felt like me coming from California, because I was from LA. I always liked the red. The green took me a while to develop the taste for it, or the taste buds for it.
There you go. It just takes time. It's like drinking beer, bro. Like, at first it don't taste good.
Yeah, dude, honestly, that's so funny. I was just telling the story the other day about the first time I had a beer, and I was like 4 years old. And I think that's why I never drank in high school, because it's just so gross. And my dad gave me a Bud Heavy. Yeah.
A Bud Heavy.
Bud Heavy, yeah.
So that's I guess they already made Bud Lights back then, I guess. Yeah,
maybe.
Bud Heavy.
I don't know. I just remember the red and white can. You know what I mean? Yeah. Good times, man. But yeah, again, dude, I'm so grateful that you came in here. And again, this has been such a pleasure to get you up here, and grateful for everything you've done for me in my career. You've been very instrumental in that. And not only just like the actual education of certifications, but just being an ear to always talk to and a shoulder to lean on, theoretically speaking.
I got you, bro.
Yeah, man. But again, you were the guy in the building that, again, you and Shane were always just like, no matter what's going on professionally and personally, like, John and Shane have done it, and I can talk to these guys. And again, just super appreciative for everything you've done for me.
Yeah, man. My pleasure. Glad to be part of the journey. Glad to see you like killing it. Look at this space. This is freaking awesome, man.
Wild, right? Would you have thought 5 years ago?
Maybe not. I try not to think too hard about what could or what should or might be, but it's nice to see. It's nice to see how it all unfolds as time goes on. But yeah, man, I'm just glad to be here. Thank you for inviting me to come to the Lions, the Casa de Leon.
Casa de Leon, yeah, right? Yeah. Right, as you have the wolf on your shirt.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Hey, we talked about some of the artwork from the old Onnit days. This is from EV. I had commissioned him to make my branded artwork. So this is the wolf.
Yeah, and it definitely has like it. If you know old school on it, like you see that shirt and you're like, oh, there's ties.
Yeah. It looks a lot like the lion that
the same artist, yeah.
Yeah, Evie, yeah, he did a lot of the art. You guys have evolved now in the space. You have a lot of local artists that are doing things now, but a lot of the foundation of the brand was Evie.
Yeah. And again, those shirts are like so iconic for me. Like I'm like, oh, it's awesome. So his art is great, and it's awesome that you have kept in touch with him and now have branded your logo with him. That's a sick shirt.
We're all family for life. Don't matter.
Yeah.
No matter if the names of the companies change or not.
I know. I don't know if there ever will be a time where I'm not in that building, but if and when that time comes, it's a bridge that I know will always be there. Like I'm not dropping any matches on the way out, and it's a spot where I feel like as long as the core is there and there's people that are doing the right thing for the right reasons, like I will always be wanting to be a part of what's going on there.
Yeah, man. Definitely.
Yeah. And again, that came from the foundations that were laid in large part by you.
Woo.
Yeah.
It was a team effort.
A team effort for sure.
Many hands makes the load light, bro.
Yeah, well, many hands do a lot of things.
Well, hey.
Yeah, it takes a village, right? Why don't you look into the camera, tell people where to find you online, where to find Wolfpack, how they can get connected with you and everything you got going on.
Yeah, man. My pleasure. Basically, everything is pretty simple. At Coach John Wolf. IG, at Coach John Wolf. YouTube, at Coach John Wolf. Facebook, at Coach John Wolf. You see, I like LinkedIn. You know it, all right? It's pretty simple. And CoachJohnWolf.com. See, boom. Consistency is key.
Yeah, I love that.
If you want to check out the community Wolfpack Fit Collective Facebook group, you can also, I'll be launching a variety of new coaching offerings in the new year, which you could visit wolfpackcoach.com and pick off the menu. See if you want some support. If you want to plug in any level, you have access to, again, the coaching, wolfpackcoach.com, the content, the wolfpackfit.app, and the community, the Facebook group, Wolfpack Fit Collective. So besides that, you can just hit me on any social.
Yeah.
At Coach John Wolf.
Yeah. At Coach John Wolf. Yeah. And like you said earlier, man, it's so important to be a part of a community. So joining a community like that, like what the Onnit community was, man, we'd have people come in all the time and be like, oh, you're Coach so-and-so. And like, yeah, man, like it's so awesome to hear that like I've had some sort of impact. And so again, for you to continue to build community, because it is so important, because you need accountability. You need to know that there's people with you. And I think that's awesome that you're growing another community that had such great roots before. And so again, you know how to lead a community, you know how to motivate people. And again, awesome that you're doing that. So again, I really think that's a cool thing.
Yeah, man. Thanks for all the support. Thanks for the love. Thanks for having me. Dude, we can run it back anytime.
Anytime. Yeah. And we'll have to. It'll be great. We always have great conversations. Yeah. All right, man. Well, again, appreciate you coming on. Thank you all for tuning in. Again, this is Nick Gomez, the Lions Pit podcast, my awesome guest, John Wolf. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Check out Set, S-E-T-T, that is getset.co, a new nicotine alternative pouch. Give them a shot, especially if you're sick of the crash of nicotine or the burn or whatever the case may be. Check them out at getset.co. Also, shout out to correctlife.com. That is correct with a K. Aubrey Marcus's new supplement. They have energy. They have edge coming out. Yeah, I can't wait to be edging. And then also they have the fuel as well. So check out those 3 supplements. Great for focus, great for drive, electrolytes as well, and ketones in the electrolyte supplement. So check them out as well. That is correctlife.com. And we will check you guys out next time.